Hey guys, okay, so I'm in my classroom as you can see. So just kind of wanted to have a quick little lesson on infinitives for you. So first of all this information is on page 137 in your grammar book, but I know that sometimes we need to hear the information as well and not just read it. So infinitives are our third and last, praise the Lord, type of verbal, okay? So an infinitive is, again, a form of a verb, but it's not acting as a verb. So I think they're the easiest ones to identify because you're gonna have the word to plus the base form of a verb. So pretty much you're gonna have to plus an action verb. So think about all those situations where we've been in class and I've been like, hey, find the prepositional phrase, and you've said something like to run. Well, remember, a preposition, to can be a preposition, but to be a preposition you have to have an object, and an object is a noun or a pronoun. So if you have to plus an action verb, that's not acting as a prepositional phrase, it's acting as an infinitive, okay? So some examples: to run, to eat, to learn. So you have the word to plus an action verb, to action verb, to action verb. Now infinitives, just like participles act as adjectives and gerunds act as nouns, infinitives can do all that stuff, okay? So an infinitive can be an adjective, it can be a noun, it can be an adverb. So it can be all three of those things. Now, I love to be honest with you. In real life, no one is probably going to stop you on the street and say, hey, what is this infinitive acting as? Okay, you do need to know it for right now just so we can practice. But the most important thing is that when you see an infinitive used in a sentence, you understand what that sentence is trying to say. Okay, that's the most important thing. But we are going to look, and we do need to be able to determine as of this point in life if it's acting as an adjective, a noun, or an adverb. But remember, the most important part is that you can identify that it's an infinitive and you understand what the sentence is trying to say. Okay, so let's go to the next page. I'm going to give you some examples, and we're going to talk about if it's acting as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. Okay, the first one: she likes to paint. Okay, the first thing I would say is to figure out if you have an infinitive. Okay, so let's look at the sentence. She likes to paint. She is my subject. What is she doing? She likes. That's my verb, right? Okay, to paint. Well, here's the word to. It's acting as a preposition if there is an object behind it. Paint is an action verb. So this is an infinitive, okay? That's the first step. Okay, the next thing is we have to figure out, is it acting as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb, okay? Which one? All right, well, here are the things I notice. Likes is an action verb. What does Miss Garavelli always say to do if you have an action verb? Look for a DO or an IO, which is a direct object or an indirect object. So if I say likes what, my answer is to paint. That means paint is acting as a direct object, which means it's acting as a noun. Okay, take a moment, let that sink in. Super easy, y'all are so smart. Okay, next example. We were among the first people to leave. Okay, let's make this simple. We were the first people to leave. Okay, let's go through this together. First things first, we is your subject. Okay? Were is a verb. Okay? Were is either a helping verb or a linking verb. In this sentence, since there's not an action verb behind it, it's being used as a linking verb. Because remember, helping verbs help action verbs. All right. So now I'm going to see if I have an infinitive. I have the word to, so I'm going to look behind it. Is the word behind it an action verb, or is the word behind it a noun or a pronoun? Well, it's an action verb, so this is an infinitive, okay? Now I have to decide noun, adjective, adverb. All right, well, let's look in front of it. People, I know, is a noun, okay? The and first, that's an article adjective. That's an adjective. All right, so the only thing I see that to leave is doing is describing the people. So think about it. What part of speech describes a noun? An adjective. So this infinitive is acting as an adjective. Now, 90% of the time, or even 99% of the time, if you have a noun right in front of the infinitive, it's probably acting as an adjective because it's probably describing the noun. Okay, just FYI. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, that's making things way difficult here. Okay, last one. He is quick to anger. All right. He is quick to anger. All right. Sorry, it's so messy. My subject is he. My verb is. To anger is my infinitive because I have to, and anger is an action verb. Okay, so now let's think about this for a second. There's not an action verb. Well, there's an action verb in our infinitive, but it's not acting as an action verb. There's not an action verb in the sentence, right? There's just a linking verb. So let's decide what quick is. Well, quick is a word that you would use to describe someone or something. So quick is an adjective, okay? So just like in the previous sentence that we did, when I talked about how if you have a noun right in front of your infinitive, then the infinitive is probably acting as an adjective. Well, if you have an adjective right in front of your infinitive, think to yourself, what part of speech describes an adjective? An adverb. So this infinitive is acting as an adverb, okay? Now, there are several other things on this page. It talks about what an infinitive phrase is. An infinitive phrase is just the infinitive with any prepositional phrases that go with it or any complements. It also talks about how sometimes there is an understood infinitive. I'm not concerned about that right now. So here's what I need for you to know. You need to know what an infinitive is, how to recognize it, and if it's acting as a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. That's what I'm concerned about right now, okay? Now, the practice that you are supposed to do is starting on page 137 and ends on page 138. It's exercise 10. All you are supposed to do is underline the infinitive, but make sure if there's a phrase, you underline the entire phrase. After you do that in your grammar book, you're going to go to that Google form that I put on in a million different places on the pacing guide and on the morning announcement, and you're going to transfer your answers over to that, okay? So y'all let me know if you have any questions, and I miss y'all.